The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, welcome everybody to this Casey Lau's Money Tip Show. My name is Casey Lau from caseylau.com, and my business mission basically is to provide financial education conveniently to you all. And this is how we do it. It's through webinar, and you can learn conveniently from your place, from your office, from your home, anywhere. As long as you have an internet connection, then you can connect to us and learn about this. And today I have a very heavyweight speaker. It's in fact my honor to actually, and I'm so surprised that I can get him on this show. And frankly speaking, I didn't pay him any money, so it's to my surprise that he can appear on my webinar. So we have Adrian here. He has his first investment in property he started at age 19, so he made like 20,000 from that deal, and then on he has already like gathered over 20 years of experience in property investment. So I'll let Adrian talk more about him and what he does, and he's going to teach you some strategy to you very soon. So if you can hear me, you can see our screen, you can see the webcam of Adrian's computer. Just type in the chat box, let us know, because I have some message say no sound, because in fact I broadcast this thing, and if you can hear me, just type in the location where you are from right now, telling me everything's working fine before we actually start the session. Yeah, please give us some response. Okay, good. Yeah, we got Jack from Hamburg, what is like overseas Hamburg. Where's Hamburg? Germany?
Germany.
Oh, nice. Okay, awesome. So let's start. Yeah, things is working. Adrian, so can you tell us briefly about what you're going to share today, and also maybe you can start introducing a little bit about yourself too.
Okay. Hi. First of all, thank you, Casey Lau, for getting this together. It's also a privilege to finally touch base with you. And to all the listeners out there, welcome. I hope that over the next 1 hour, I should be able to share with you some strategies that I personally myself engage in. And I myself has been in the property line industry for the last 22 years. I started off working in a bank as a mortgage officer, and fortunately enough, I have a lot of mentors along the way who guide me. And the best part is that my position, the role that I'm playing in the bank, is basically servicing property developers. So I somehow along the way, I got to know a lot of really, really good developers who actually did property and taught me how to leverage, how to optimize the opportunities given to me. So over the years, I think I also set up, I'm the founder actually of the broker. I left banking after more than 13 years, and then I set up mortgage broker, Sandra Bahad, which is one of the largest, I think we are one of the pioneers. We started off 2004. We are basically outsourcing company in mortgages. We are officially appointed by at least about 6 to 7 banks. And that has actually put me in good stead. And most importantly is that throughout my 11 years of running mortgage brokerage, I have a lot of private and confidential information was emailed to me for my eyes only. And that's how I continuously learn and find out the background about developer strength, what are the land banks and what are the loan strategies. So every now and then I do have a lot of head start on information that is not publicly available. So I'm fortunate in that sense, and I've been doing sharing under the other company called Skybridge International, Senyang Berhad, where we share with participants and our members on what are the loopholes, strategies, that is being given to them. So as you can see from the slides here, one of the major milestones for me was actually being invited, paid by Maybank, by the way, to speak to all the ultra high net worth customers back in 2013. And they have a very strict selection process, and I was being given the opportunity to to speak to about 600 ultra high net worth customers, and that was an eye-opening, I believe, sharing session. And as you can see from the slides, the usual stuff. I appeared in a lot of medias and magazines, and one of the major milestones again for me was being interviewed by Radio Hong Kong, because the callers, the listeners in Radio Hong Kong, actually complained that Malaysia is not a property investment haven. Now, I got a phone call from the DJ over in Radio Hong Kong, who invited me to Hong Kong to basically dispel the myth and to address certain issues, which were apparently, according to them, they got a very, very good response from the listeners there. And as you can see from the print, you can find me. You can even log on under Skybridge International. You'll find a lot of information being shared. The seminars that we run now. So to start off with, I think there are no rocket science basically to property investment as far as I'm concerned. Generally, there are a few techniques that you need to know of, certain due diligence that you need to perform. Now, over the last 22 years, fortunately enough, most of my investments are basically a very, very steady type of due diligence, so that my risk is very much mitigated at the end of the day. As far as due diligence, if I'm buying or if you're buying from developers, for instance, right? Generally, the developers, the abundance in Malaysia. Now, we do not know what is the background actually of the developer. Now, these days, you do have a lot of developers who are coming from a background of manufacturing of clothes. You know, even I was told that there was a very popular lingerie underwear manufacturer who's trying to become a developer. Now, sometimes you have to ask yourself this question: do they have the experience and the financial cash flows to basically undertake mega projects? Now, what are things that I look out for when I buy primary market properties from developers under construction? Yeah, first thing first, I would like to find out, okay, do they have a track record in property construction, or have they had any past experience in property development? Secondly, I would love to find out about their financials, their cash flows. Now, how do you go about finding all this information? You will ask me. Now, my suggestion is sometimes it's best that you call your respective banks to find out if they have, some of your friendly bankers. Sometimes they will quietly reveal to you whether financing certain projects or not. Now, if they are not financing that project, then you may proceed to ask them, why not? Why aren't your bank financing this project? Now, sometimes they will tell you certain reasons which are not meant to be revealed to the general public. It could be a reason where the directors may have some impending legal suit against them, or the company has already appeared in the blacklist of the KPKG. KPKG is basically a website where you can log on and find out who are the blacklisted developers by the government. It could be due to fees not paid, abandoned projects that they have undertaken in the past, and many other stuff. So your friendly bankers will be the first person to tell you a lot of this hidden information, private information. The thirdly is that when I go to a developer, if I'm interested to buy a unit of their development, I always ask who are the banks that finance these projects, their project. Now, if I get indication that the local or the local banks, the usual common banks in Malaysia, are not financing this project. However, and then they will tell you, the sales people will tell you, oh, we only have bank number 1 and bank number 2 only. And you know that there are certain banks that you normally don't go to for mortgages. Now, that begs a question: why aren't the rest of the banks financing this project? There could be many reasons. And if the rest of the commercial banks are not financing, I would normally walk away, because I believe the the real party that can actually perform actual due diligence on developer will be the banks. So they are the best line of defense for investors, to mitigate their risk. Now, when it comes to lawyer, now I know that many people don't actually pay attention to the firms who's basically acting on your standard sales and purchase agreement and you don't agreement as well. But I beg to differ on this matter. Sometimes when I buy sub-sale properties, I will be very, very selective on which lawyer that I appoint. Likewise, for banks, they also do not like to engage with lawyers who doesn't have the expertise. Now, what are the criteria you should look out for before you engage a lawyer to act on your behalf? One of which will be, are they partnership or sole proprietor? Now, normally, if you engage a partnership, then this is one of the criteria that banks will actually agree to. However, on the flip side, if you go and engage a lawyer that is a sole proprietor, likelihood the bank may not allow that lawyer to act on your behalf for the loan agreement. Yeah. The other thing is lawyers by right partnership should have been in existence for more than 3 years minimum, and the partners themselves should have about more than 5 years experience, each one of them preferably. And their professional indemnity must be minimum 1 million ringgit. Yeah. Now, these basically 3 criteria are essential for the banks as well as for yourselves. Because if you're not in the property industry, you may not. But I'm in the property industry. I know quite a number of lawyers have ran away with customers' money in the past. So it takes you must actually put a lot of effort to make sure that you engage the right lawyer. Now, moving on, real estate agents. Now, this one goes without saying. When you want to engage a real estate agent, or you like to buy a property through a real estate agent, preferably you engage someone who's a registered real estate agent. How do you know whether he's registered? Basically, you ask them whether they have a name tag, yeah, a rent tag, yeah. The other thing that you should be aware of will be when you issue a deposit. When you issue a deposit, one of the most common practice by illegal agents will be where the agent will ask you, hey, Mr. Adrian, can you issue the check to my personal name instead of direct to my company? So, it's very common for you to ask why. And normally these illegal agents will say, look, if you issue to my company, I'll have to charge you 6% GST. Okay, but if you issue to his personal name, he can waive that GST for you. So because of the 6% GST, a lot of customers, penny wise, pound foolish, they just issue the check direct to the agent's name. Now, very, very likelihood, some of these agents may just abscond with your money, and you got no avenue to pursue later on. Yeah. So this is the risk that you are facing these days, and I believe it is still ongoing. So be very careful when you deal with real estate agents. Now, moving on to vendors. Vendors means sellers. Yeah. When it comes to sub-sale properties. Why is it crucial for you to know your vendor? Now, in most occasions, likelihood when you buy a sub-sale properties, you will not get a chance to meet the vendor, the seller, because lawyer will just call you, or the real estate agent will call you and says, okay, the deal is done, you just have to go to the lawyer's office to sign the agreement. So you don't have the opportunity to meet the vendor. Now, if you don't have that kind of opportunity to have a face-to-face meeting with the vendor, the least you can do before even the agreement is signed, you should actually get hold of the vendor's IC number and name. Okay, and you can ask your lawyer to do a search on the vendor to find out if there is any bankruptcy summons against him, or there's any legal suit against him. Because the last thing you want is to buy a property from someone who is a bankrupt. Now, what is the implication of that? Well, in short, you will not be able to get hold of your property, even though you paid the deposit. So it is wise for you to engage a lawyer who will just do a search. If you have the title with you, better still, because you would like to find out whether the title has any caveat, any form of caveat that is going to prevent the deal being perfected. So it is very crucial. Remember, these four stakeholders are very crucial as part of your due diligence process. Yeah. Now, moving along, as usual, people talk about location, location, location. I think this is a bit outdated. Nowadays, even really, really far, far away places is being deemed as prime location. But let's not argue on that. What I normally would encourage people to look at is to understand the population size of the area that you're going to buy a property. What do I mean by that? Now, there are certain locations that you will see that the demo of the population, you will roughly know their income level, roughly, and you will know that there is a shift of population that would actually love to stay in a particular area. For example, I mean, if you ask me, for my view, personally, I believe that the southern part of Kuala Lumpur is generating a lot of interest. There is a huge migration, people from different suburbs to the southern part of Kuala Lumpur. Okay, that's why you can see a lot of infrastructure, transportation system, accessibility, road widening, new malls being coming up. That basically attracts a certain percentage of the migration of the population. As far as age group, of course, you will generally, common sense will tell you certain locations generally is heavily favored by certain age group. I don't mean to show disrespect to certain segment of targeted customers, but you know very well that sometimes, for instance, Damansara Perdana, high rise, generally attracts a lot of yuppies, Gen Ys who would like to be staying in a very lifestyle area. So we know Damansara Perdana actually attracts certain segment of age group. Yeah, like if you ask a Generation Y, a youngsters, hey, would you like to buy in SS2 PJ? Now, most of the time you will get response that it's a very old neighborhood. There's nothing sexy anymore about SS2, even though it's prime location. So the Generation Y may not choose to stay in SS2. Yeah, I'm just giving you an example. Now, I know this may be a little bit controversial and a bit subjective, but if you believe and understand where I'm coming from, and you can ask any one of your friends, they'll tell you pretty much what I'm sharing with you right now. Income level is very critical. The location that you've chosen, you must understand what is the income per capita generally. Yeah, for example, if I ask you to guesstimate the income level of someone who is staying in Taman Medan. Taman Medan is somewhere near Oakland Road, the far end of Oakland Road. Then wouldn't you agree with me that Taman Medan, the income per capita generally is actually medium low to low? Yeah. So this is just an example. You need to understand the income per capita of the general population in a certain area. Yeah. So I hope you understand as far as the demographics of the chosen location. Now moving along. Now in Malaysia, especially Klang Valley, one of the most critical factor in determining the success of your property investment is about accessibility. Now I have come across a lot of people who bought properties from developers where the developers actually promise them that certain access will be open and leading to their neighborhood. However, upon collection of keys, they'll find out that they can see their neighborhood, but they have to take a big turn before they can actually enter into the neighborhood. So this is a no-no as far as property investment is concerned. Now, I believe that most of you here, the listeners, will understand that accessibility is very critical. It's all about accessibility. It's all about connectivity. Whatever locations that you buy, whatever properties that you buy, you must understand ultimately accessibility will increase the human traffic to a certain place. So if your accessibility is good, there's more connectivity, there's more human traffic going. And when you have higher human traffic, the population grows, then you have a lot of demand and supply activities going on in your neighborhood. Yeah, I hope you understand. The pictures that you see here is just some of the examples of the buildings that you can see, but you cannot reach easily. So it is basically a no-brainer. I don't understand why some of these buildings being built that way with no accessibility. So go figure, yeah. Now MRT is very crucial these days, especially for the younger generation. Now 40% of our middle income class would love to invest in areas where connectivity will actually lower down their transportation costs. I believe most of you are aware the LRT extension line is ready and there's upcoming MRT line that is in pipeline. So goes without saying, it will actually boost certain locations, especially when your property is within maybe about 800 meters. I believe this will be a booster for your neighborhood. Okay. Now the other point I want to share with you is about excuse me, about before you buy any primary projects from developers, sometimes it pays to understand the surrounding location of that project site itself. What are the existing buildings? How much are they selling? Or do they have any upcoming launches that will potentially block the view if you're buying an apartment? You can ask the developer, and likelihood developer will share with you. I don't think most of them will hide the information. They will tell you, okay, there's a nearby launch, coming up, and but they won't tell you when. So you have to be very choosy and selective in choosing your units. Price, good to know that what are the surrounding prices right now, so that you know that whether you're paying above what the market is asking or below. So that is a good point for you to zoom into before you actually make the trade. Now, this is one very crucial factor that most people won't pay attention to, but I would like to highlight as well. Now, when I say marketability factor, this is a term being coined by the banks as well in collaboration with valuers. So banks are very concerned if you were to buy any properties that has a marketability factor, or in short, we call it MF. On a scale of between 1 to 10, if your marketability factor or MF is actually lower than 6, it means your property, it is not favorable by the bank. So who indicates this MF factor? Basically, it's by the valuers. So before you actually got your loan approved, banks normally will have to call valuer to find out, hey, I've got this property in this location. Can you give me the MF factor? I'll give you an example. If you're buying a KLCC property, the marketability factor will range between 8 to 9. So that's a good MF. However, if you're buying something, let's say in Batang Kali or Sabah Pernah, this most probably will only get you an MF factor of less than 5. Or if you're buying a property that is very near to a graveyard, and the valuers know, certain locations, certain property is actually situated very close to a graveyard, then they will tell the credit manager of the bank that this property will only get MF of about 5.5 or 6. There you go. So just to recap on this 10 points, close proximity to graveyard, rubbish dumps, sewerage pond, highly polluted industrial area, landfills, This is a no-no as far as banks concerned. Now you have to be upfront when you submit your application. Now I know a lot of customers actually would like to hide certain information from the bank officers, but ultimately, guess what? If you're buying a sub-sale property, the valuers will go to your site and track the location of your property, and it is their responsibility to actually inform the bank. So it's up to the bank whether they want to approve the loans, knowing that the MF factor is low. Of course, flood areas, banks don't really like it. It's on hill slopes, very close to landslide area, for example, places like your typical, Bukit Antra Bangsa. This is actually a very famous or infamous area where banks are trying to avoid financing any properties there. Yeah. Of course, new village type of houses, like your olden days where you have a semi-permanent house, half wood, half bricks. Um, as long as it's not, as long as you have any form of wood as part of your structure of your house, it is not acceptable by the banks. Non-conformity of building or land use. Now, I get asked very often on what if I buy a double-story corner house and use it as a kindergarten? Okay. Now, this is very subjective, depends on whether the bank's appetite, whether they're keen to finance. Another example is that if I buy a double-story house and I would like to use that house as a storage facility, and you know that banks don't like how residential properties being used as storage facilities. So you have to be upfront because at the end of the day, sometimes bank officers may actually pay a visit to the property, and if they found out that your properties are not being used for own occupation, then they reserve the right to actually recall back the facility. Okay. Another example would be properties used for church, temples. It is not advisable because, as I've said earlier, banks don't like the illegal use or misuse of property that they are financing. Properties with visible physical structural defects, that goes without saying. Nobody wants to finance a broken house. So you have to make sure that you either get it repaired somehow or get the seller to repair it before you even submit your loan application. Properties where bank has experienced aborted auctions due to poor marketability. There are many locations in Klang Valley that it could be a certain project that has been previously abandoned, or where there are certain locations that there are multiple times or multiple occasions where the properties that they financed in the past, they actually go for auctions and there were no bidders. So when they know that there's a high number of non-bidders for a certain location, they may not be keen to finance a property that you just purchased in that location, right? Close proximity to petrol stations, abattoir area, animal breeding farm is a no-no, yeah? Lastly, bungalows that are individually built and value above 10 million in non-prime location, it is a no-no. Why? At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself this question. How easy for the bank to dispose the property or auction it off in the event there is a default in loan payment? So there you go. If the property is worth 10 million, you have guessed it, you won't have that many customers queuing up to buy the property. So when the demand is not as great as the mass market properties, yeah. So before you construct your own bungalow that is going to look like a Disneyland house, think first, yeah, before you proceed. Okay. Now, when you, like I've mentioned earlier, where to buy, buying sub-sale, how to go about doing it. I'd like to stress a point that many of the Generation Y or many of the listeners out there are very keen on buying primary markets. So I will often get asked questions. It's like, Adrian, where do I go about buying secondary properties? Where is a good location? So I think it goes without saying, you have to ask yourself this question. If you like to buy secondary property, have you considered your own neighborhood, the existing neighborhood? There must be a reason why you are staying in your own neighborhood. It could be the maturity of the trees, the landscaping, the amenities, the accessibility. So no one else knows your neighborhood other than yourself. So why don't you consider your own neighborhood as, your property investment location? So do consider your own existing neighborhood before you actually look elsewhere. Of course, it pays to actually do a land search on the title of the property before you even sign on the dotted line. Why this is crucial, as I've mentioned earlier, that the title must be free from caveats, unless there is a bank, unless the property is financed by the bank. Obviously, it is still under master title. Obviously, the bank will lodge a caveat. But if the title is out, the individual title is out, normally the bank will put a charge to it. Now, there is no reason for the title to have any other caveat performed by any other parties, because if you do a land search, which is at the land office, it is very cheap actually. It costs no more than 60 ringgit. If there is a caveat into it, then you must perform your due diligence. Stop signing anything unless you get clarification from the real estate agent or the seller. Be careful on this part, yeah? And moving along, this is a very popular term being thrown about these days. A lot of developers are offering guaranteed rental returns. Now, first of all, you have to understand, now I have a little bit reservations on guaranteed return schemes. Why? Now, in the past, if you ask the olden days, older generation, they are very, very skeptical on guaranteed rental returns, GRR, as you can see. Reason being because in the past, a lot of developers don't honor the scheme, which means they don't pay the GRR despite the contract they signed. Now, come back to the present moment. A lot of developers are still offering GRR. Now, I have been fortunate or unfortunate enough to witness quite a fair bit of guaranteed rental returns contract. The ones that are being presented to me by my members, my club members, and my students. Now, when I've gone through the contract, there are certain clauses in the contract that troubles me generally. What are they? Some of the contracts that I've gone through, it shows that there is a clause that says that the developer has every right to terminate the guaranteed rental return scheme by just giving you a 2 weeks or 2 months notice. So whatever that you've signed in the past, they have every right to exit without paying you in the future. So I found that this is a little bit risky as far as investors are concerned. And furthermore, I think this one is a no-brainer. When you buy a guaranteed rental return scheme projects, you know that the developers would have factored in the price, the rental returns into your price that you pay. So be very careful on this criteria, because I've seen a lot of developers that are having financial cash flows and they are unable to honor their commitment earlier. Now, point number 9 will be buying in notorious areas. Now, this is very subjective. Now, this may not be music to your ears, but personally for me, if I would like to buy anything completed properties, I will always focus in areas that is already quite matured. How do you define matured? Now, when you go to an area that from morning till late evening, 3 hours into the morning, you'll find that restaurants are buzzing with activities. The F&B restaurants has got a lot of patrons. and you have a lot of shops, and you have cars moving in and out. Now, what does it tell you? It says there is a very positive growth of population that are staying in these areas. Now, when that happens, you know that there is going to be a very high demand. Doesn't matter whether it's a high-end, big-ticket size property or affordable houses, but you know that there are many areas in Klang Valley that, for example, Kuchai Lama, Kuchai Entrepreneur Park, it is a non-stop activity basically in that area. Now, it may not look really high-end, but if you're looking to long-term rental yield returns on, apartments or walk-up flats or even condominiums there, you can always go there and survey. There's endless traffic, there's endless human traffic, there's endless business activities going on, and then you see cars double parking, triple parking, Now, these areas generally command reasonably good rental. So if you want to invest in something that is on a very safe bet, if I may say, it will be certain areas like this, Kuchai Entrepreneur Park, Bandar Baru Street, Petaling, maybe possibly Section 7 of Shah Alam, Taman Desa areas, or OUG. I love these type of areas because there's a mix of the older generation and the Generation Y. So this is actually very, very good areas that I would strongly recommend, yeah? Now, moving along, I think, what next moving forward? Now, please don't have too high expectations on the rental yield. Even real estate agent.
Oh, Adrian.
The rental yield is going to be 6%, or you're going to get a value appreciation or about 25 to 30% upon completion. Now, I will strongly encourage you to actually lower down expectations a bit. Yeah. So if you really want to know if you can get anything between 4 to 4.5 for a residential property, I think that is good. That will put you in good stead, and it's a very safe investment. Yeah. Capital values moving per annum. I'm expecting range of between 5 to 6% per annum on capital values. So you wouldn't go wrong if you're buying in a decent location. So there you go on as far as property strategy is concerned. Now I'm going to move along to mortgages, leveraging, the art of leveraging. I call it understanding forensics mortgage. Why there is more than, there has got to be more understanding than just, your basic base lending rate, your interest rate. You need to understand in depth what the banks are thinking. Why is this crucial? Because if you understand the whole works or the schematics of what the bank is thinking, then likelihood your loan application, the chances of it being approved is very, very high. Now, if you don't prepare yourself upfront and you just simply submit your documents without understanding the risk appetite or the credit analysis of the bank, then likelihood you will get your loans rejected. That's why I still find a lot of people complaining that their loans get rejected all the time. Now, if you would have prepared yourself earlier and you understood how the bank works, then it helps you, in your loan approval process. Okay, now profiling of a good leverage customers, basic guidelines. If you don't have time for anything else, at least understand this. You need to understand the loan amount that the bank is going to grant you is actually based on the property purchase price or the current market value. Now, I'll give an example. If you're to buy a property, say, worth 1 million, now the real estate agents will quote you saying that, oh, I managed to call my valuer, my panel valuer, and they gave me a value of 1.2. Yeah, and as a customer, sometimes you just listen to the real estate agents in good faith. Oh, the value is worth 1.2. I'm buying 1 million. It must be a good deal. And you proceeded to actually pay the deposit check. What I would strongly encourage the listeners here today to understand is this: before you even issue the check, please call your own bank and ask your own bank officer what is the estimated market value of the property that you're going to buy. Now, don't be surprised that you will actually come back, the bank will actually come back with lower than what you expect. Now, what is the implications of this? If you would have bought at 1 million, what if the bank came back and shared with you and says that your value is only worth 900,000? So if you are asking for a 90% loan, it is 90% based on your market value, not your purchase price. And hence, you will have to top up the difference of 10% from your own pocket. So be very careful on this, yeah? Now, as far as income documents concerned, I think you should get ready. Make sure all your income documents, you file it properly to make sure you are showing the banks what you want them to see. They are very, very particular, very specific. They are very keen to understand where is the source of income and do you have documents to actually justify it. So if you got that in order, you shouldn't have any stumbling block in your loan application process. Mortgage debt, total debt ratio. Now, in short, we used to call it, or we're still calling it as debt service ratio. Some of you call it debt burden ratio. Now, debt service ratio, in short, DSR, it basically implies your total loan outstanding in our Malaysian banking system divided by your net income. And that will give you a certain percentage. Now, as a rule of a guide, if your debt service ratio is hovering between 70 to 80%, then you are quite safe, yeah, in your loan application process. Likelihood you will get approved, subject to our other conditions being met. Now, I'll talk more about debt service ratio in a short while. For CCRIS, it stands for Central Credit Reference Information System. You must not be habitually late in your loan repayment. When I say less than 2, it means you must not be 2 months late in your loan repayment. Because if you do that, then you can say goodbye to your new purchase of property should you need a loan. No CTOS. CTOS stands for Credit Tip-Off Service. You must make sure there is no legal suit against you. You know, if you have, make sure you clear it before you even submit your loan application. Property purchase not in negative listing, I have shared with you earlier in the slides, so I'm not going to go that. What matters one actually? It is not how much you earn, it is actually what you can prove. So there's no point of you claiming that you earn 50,000 and whereas you actually don't have any documents to back it up. So make sure that you can prove on paper, yeah? Make sure you have a good credit record, goes without saying. Your CCRIS record must be beautiful so that your loan process is very smooth. One thing I'd like to highlight is your credit cards. Now, if you're someone who has a lot of credit cards and has a lot of outstanding debts, outstanding balances, yeah, before you even submit your loan application, please pare down your outstanding. Because banks, if they find out that you have huge outstanding balances in your credit card, if it's below if it's above 80%, then they may actually reject your loan. Yeah. Get your documents in order. Now, don't go on a frenzied buying spree within a short time frame. I'm not sure how many of you will agree with me because I keep on seeing a lot of friends coming together, form joint ventures, and went on a buying spree, buying 3, 5, 10. You know, I wouldn't encourage that because banks will definitely find out sooner or later. And if you start accumulating too many properties within a short time frame, they know you are a serious investor, not in a good way, yeah. So they may actually reject your loans. Avoid joint purchase with friends. I know some of you listeners there may not agree with me. Now, not all banks are keen on financing properties that are being bought by among friends. So you have to. This is very subjective. I'm sure some of you managed to get your loans approved. But the banks are cracking down on this matter. They actually don't like friends coming together to borrow loans or buy properties. Reason being because, put it simply, if husband and wife can quarrel over money, what about friends? So the banks are very, they're very concerned when friends quarrel, end up no one is going to serve the loans. So ultimately, that's the bottom line. Yeah. What else are we looking at? Don't submit makeover income documents. Now, I know a lot of experts out there who are very good in coming up with really, really beautiful documents. Don't do that, yeah? Because the moment the bank detects, your name will be, they will not tell you that you are being blacklisted if they detect that you submit fraud documents or trying to manipulate certain income documents. They will not tell you anything at all. They'll just politely tell you your loan is rejected. However, the banks will share this information, which means your name in the banking system, among the banks themselves. They will share among the banks themselves that says that, okay, Mr. A has been detected as submitting fraudulent documents. And this will be a red flag. So if you try to submit a fresh loan application to another bank, that bank likelihood will also reject your application. So don't try to be a hero in this matter, yeah? Now, for those who don't have a proper income, but somehow they manage to accumulate a lot of wealth through FDs, unit trusts. Now, this will not, some of you may argue that if I have FDs, I have a unit trust, I have some form of interest from there. Can I use the interest income from there to justify my loan application? The answer to you is that no. It's either you have a business running with income or you are an employee with a company that has income. So if you're totally unemployed and you're relying on FDs and unit trusts or whatever investments that don't generate a stable monthly income for you, banks likelihood will not approve your loans. Yeah, please take note of that. Don't over leverage without rental income to substantiate. Yeah, some of you, like I said, you will rely. Some of us actually don't work. Yeah, some of us I've seen a lot of people out there actually they don't work. They just rely on rental income to survive or to go about their daily lives. And then they went on to buy a new property and expecting the banks to finance them. Nah, it ain't going to happen. Yeah. Check and update your secrets record regularly to make sure that everything is in order. Now, one point to note is that for those of you Generation Y who just got back from universities and you got a very good, handsome paying job, but you got no secrets record in Malaysia at all. Now, you apply for a housing loan immediately. Likelihood you'll be rejected here. Now, unless you're working for multinational companies, yeah. If you're working for Achong Akau, Abu, Sendirian Berhad or trading, they don't issue a proper pay slips, then don't be surprised the bank will actually reject your application. My advice to Generation Y who just got back from uni, you got a good paying job, is to at least apply for a credit card first so that you have a secrets record and they can actually monitor your secrets and find out, oh, you have been a good paymaster, and then subsequently you bought a motorbike or a car where you apply for a higher purchase loan. From there, they will be able to determine whether you are a good customer or not. So take note of that. For businessmen, if you've been running a business less than 2 years, I know some of you generally can actually have a lot of income, high income from your business in 1 year. But don't try to apply for bank loans because most of them, they want an established track record for more than 2 years before they even consider a mortgage. Yeah. So 10 important strategies. Net income is being used as a basis for calculation of the debt service ratio. You must understand that. Most of you who are on a buying spree, if you're taking mortgages, ask yourself this question: if the interest rate were to increase to 8%, can you still afford to pay? So this is do yourself know best, yeah. So always do a stress test and perform a worst case scenario type of due diligence on yourself. Now, debt service ratio, generally speaking, unfortunately, most of the banks that I spoke to, that I dealt with, if you're earning net income 3,000 below, your debt service ratio is going to be only 60%. If you exceed that, they're not going to approve your loan. But for anyone who's earning above 3,000 net income, you can go up as high as 85%. So not an issue here. Now, what about those who already has a lot of loans, and can we go beyond 80 or 85% debt service ratio? My answer to you is yes. Now, there are banks out there that actually can approve up to 150% debt service ratio, way beyond your net income earnings. How do we go about this? Well, as long as you can prove liquid assets or liquid net worth above 1 million in a form of ETF or savings or current account, FD, shares, unit trust, foreign currency, you total up together, as long as above 1 million, there you go. You can go up to 150%. So I personally have helped a lot of customers getting way beyond that 85% debt service ratio, as long as you can prove that. Yeah, it's not really that difficult. I mean, if your age about 30, 35, 40, you definitely have substantial savings in the ETF. So that will form a major liquid net worth in the formation of that 1 million target. Yeah. I do get a lot of questions too on 90% financing. If I have existing 2 loans, how can I get 90%? Now, there are many ways, but due to limited time, I'm going to share with you 1 or 2. One of which is actually a guarantor scheme. There are banks out there. Now, they don't actually publicize this because they do not want to create a hoo-ha. So sometimes there are banks out there that actually grant you 90% for your third loans. What do we call it? It's called guarantor scheme. How to go about it? Assuming I have 4 properties, 4 loans in the bank. My wife has got 1 loan under her name. Now, I would like to buy a new property, but I know I only qualify for 70%. So what do? I have the strong income. However, my wife doesn't have a strong income. I can buy the property under my wife's name, where the sales and purchase agreement signed under her name, loan application under her name as well, but I'll stand in as a guarantor. It has been done, it can be done, it will be done. Okay, so don't worry about that. Another scheme that I can actually share with you on 90% financing for third properties is, now, have you thought about sometimes you can do a third-party loan where wife has got 1 loan, I have 3 loans. I can always sign the sales and purchase agreement under husband and wife, but we apply the loan under my wife's name only. So I'm using her quota. This is called third-party loans. There are many more ways. I think about 4 or 5 more strategies, but today I may not be able to share everything with you all. Investment holding company is being heavily used by property investors these days, but take note, investment holding company is a special vehicle for you to own properties, and you can get financing. For residential, it's only 60% margin. For commercial, you can apply up to 90%. So no dramas on here on this issue. But before you come together with your friends forming IHC or investment holding company, please make sure you perform due diligence on who are your partners. Yeah, because the last thing you want is to form partnership with someone who is excess baggage to you. Yeah, I'm sure you know what I mean. Leveraging a secret. This is for those of you who has a very high risk appetite, those who go about buying multiple units at the same time. What I can suggest you do, now this may not be really that ethical, but I'm just highlighting to you, it's up to you to execute this. You can buy, let's say for instance, 6 units of condo. It can be different condos, but the price is pretty much similar. You can submit unit 1 and 2 to Bank A, 3 and 4 to Bank B, 5 and 6 to Bank C. Now in the secret system, the bank doesn't know if I have bought 6 units or did I actually buy only 2 units submitting to 3 different banks? So you see how it all works out in the secrets. And most of the time, if you're lucky, I know my customer are very lucky till now. You can get maximum financing even though you're buying 6 units, for example. Because if you were to submit 6 units to 1 or 2 banks, likelihood the bank will reject your loan because they will see you as someone who is high risk investor. Yeah. So by splitting your submissions to different banks simultaneously, you can buy different condos as long as the price range is not a big gap, not a big difference. Pretty similar, 900,000 to 950 or 850. So within that 50,000 variance, then you should be able to get your loans approved. Yeah. So this is a very, very popular strategy for those of you who are on a bulk buying, yeah, and still wants to get maximum loan. But I would like to remind all the listeners here that this is a little bit high risk, yeah, and you have to ask yourself whether do you have the appetite to pursue this strategy. Now, I do get a lot of questions all the time. Do banks actually check CCRIS prior to disbursement? What if I have a lot of loans at 90%? I'm in breach of the guidelines of the banks. Do they actually check CCRIS prior to disbursement? My answer to you, till now, is no. The banks won't perform another CCRIS check on your loan application prior to disbursement. So if it has been approved, you sign the letter of offer, you sign the loan agreement, it's considered done. As far as my knowledge is concerned, no banks will perform CCRIS check again prior to disbursement. However, if you have a property that you managed to get 90% where you shouldn't be getting 90%, somehow you managed to pull through, and there is no disbursement for 2 years, some banks may actually pull out your file and check. And if they found out that you are in breach of their guidelines, they may lower down your margin of financing back to 70% as per the existing guidelines. So this one, I will see as we move along. You have to be very careful on your move on this matter, yeah. But generally, as far as I'm concerned, I know banks don't perform another CCRIS after the approval has been done. So there you go. I'm not going to touch so much on this one. For those of you, sometimes people ask me, should I rent first or should I buy first? My advice to you, yeah, your choice. If you want to make money, might as well you can rent first or you can buy first. It's very subjective. And most importantly, if you check valuation if you're buying secondary properties before you even sign on the dotted line. Okay. Now, lastly, before I think I'm coming towards the end, stay with your day job. Don't listen to too many of these financial freedom gurus who ask you to quit your job and be financially free. Never having to work a single day through property investments. My advice to the investors out there: if you can, stay with your day job, yeah, until you reach a certain point, you've got an excellent job, excellent income, and you've got multiple properties where you generate rental. Then you decide whether you want to quit your job. Because for those investors who are new, who are beginners in this line, don't be caught up in all the hype of becoming financially free at an early age. I know everyone dream of that, but be very careful. Keeping your day job with regular source of income, it is actually something very, very powerful in ensuring that you enjoy your moments in creating wealth along the way, because banks need you to have regular income before they even finance your properties. So please be careful on that. Yep, stay with your day job. Well, I've come to the end. I've also got a book called Grow Rich Through Responsible Leveraging. You can find it in major bookstores, MPH, Kinokuniya, Borders, popular bookstores. You can get a copy from this book if you like to understand more about me, what I've gone through. And I do have a investment club as well, where I do seminars to share with you about the loans process, understanding how to get your mortgage approved, property investment strategies, taxation, legal aspects of it, understanding how to read contracts. This is a very popular among my members. I do one-on-one session as well. So for more information, you can always contact my colleague here. Name is Ms. Catherine Chu at the email stated in the slides. All right. Now, just to share with you examples, these are some of past members, past seminars that attended my classes. I do a lot of speaking engagements in Asian countries like in Bangladesh, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China, Singapore, and basically my intention is to tell them that Malaysia is an investment haven. Yeah. So this is basically an example of investment tour for my Singapore members. We took them to a lot of project sites to explain to them the details and attractiveness of certain locations. We did a conference as well. I'm done basically, and if you like us on Facebook, please go into our Facebook page and take a like if you have a moment. I've come to the end, and for more information, you can always contact us through Catherine Chu at skybridge.asia or skybridgeinternational.asia, whichever is convenient to you. So that's it. I hope you enjoy my session for the last 1 hour. If you do have any questions and answers, please share with me. I would love to answer some of the questions.
Hi, Adrian. Wow.
Yep.
It's so good that you give us a lot of tips during this 1 hour. There's a lot of strategies that
Yeah.
some of that we share among investors during closed door, but you also actually teach the audience over here. And I've got good news and I've got bad news.
Okay.
Let me tell you about some technical issue we face during this session. I started the session and some of them couldn't hear us. So this is bad
Really?
news. So I
Okay.
try to solve the technical issue, but it's actually beyond my ability. So it's
Okay,
somewhere
alright.
like the service provider, they have some problem with their issue. So, but there are people who can hear us. So if you can hear us
Really?
right now, just type in the chat box. Let me know. At least I know how many really can hear us. So I provided a
Okay.
lot of solutions, a lot of suggestion, and some of them that log off and log in, log off and log in. They try 3-4 times, still very
Really?
persistent want to hear you, but to no avail. So anyway, now the bad news is over. Then the good news is I still have this recording because I can hear you. So I make this recording. This is
Okay,
recorded.
excellent.
So I'm going to put up the recording and let them watch maybe over a week or something, so they can take that
Okay.
time to watch. And of course, we get a lot of question coming in also. So I tell them, if you cannot hear, the best thing you can do right now is stop complaining, but type in your question so that we can get it answered, right? So let's get to. Shall we get to some of the question now?
Yes, please.
Okay. There are a lot of messages. This is unusually a lot, no? Because of the people who really cannot hear. Okay, I need to scroll through. Give me a minute. Okay, this is from Kakimi. This is Kai. Actually, Kai from Malacca. He's asking, is it true when we buy a new project is under construction, as long as that project didn't get CF, our name don't appear as CCRIS?
Well, not true. I mean, if you were to buy a property, if it's under construction, and if you borrow loans from the bank, your name will appear in CCRIS. If the loan has been disbursed, then your name will appear in CCRIS.
That means CCRIS is actually recording your loan, your debt. It's not recording your purchase of property, right? It's just tied to the loan.
Yeah. There are certain occasions where a lot of customers ask me, I bought a property, I signed a letter of offer, last year, and this year I bought another property. Somehow my new property loan application, it doesn't show my name in the CCRIS. Now this is a little bit weak here. I do have a lot of incidents as such. But in general, sometimes if your loan is not disbursed, so your name may not appear in secret. So that's good for you. As far as I know that normally once your loan is approved, your name would have appeared in secret. Especially when your loan is being disbursed. As long as the first 10% is being disbursed to the developer, your name will definitely appear in secret. So it's got nothing to do with CF. Yeah.
So it's all to do with the loan. So normally, like if it is disbursed, normally it will show up in your secrets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so get to the next question from Jack. Say some projects or developers provide buyers to appoint they want the buyers to appoint their lawyer and give us good discount. So what your view or advice on this? That means the developer they appoint certain lawyers, and for the buyers or the purchaser you have to use their lawyers. Then what's your take on this?
Now, there is no hard and fast rule on this one. It depends on our customers. Now, normally, I would encourage loan borrowers to engage their own lawyer, because you know very well that if you engage the sales and purchase agreement, which is appointed by the developer, and also you're using the same lawyer for the loan agreement. Now you know that the lawyer at the end of the day is not really acting in the interest of the loan borrower. Basically, he is. But however, most instances, the developer will say that you have to use our lawyer so that you can enjoy free legal fees. So when it comes to money issue, and loan borrowers would normally just say, okay, I don't mind using the same lawyer since you are giving me free legal fees. So, but this is a money issue, but you have to understand that especially those not well-known developers, you know very well that lawyers are basically acting on, on the best interest of the developer, not you, yeah. So, but because of the savings that you get, the legal fees portion, so it's up to you whether you want to engage them. But for sub-sale property, if let's say the vendor, the seller, I mean, he asks you to use their lawyer so that they can expedite the matter, don't fall into the trap. Always use your own lawyer, because your own lawyer will scrutinize every single clause in the contract to make sure that your rights and your interests are protected. Because you are paying them, they're supposed to protect your interests. So don't fall into the trap of certain real estate agents or even the seller asking you to engage the same lawyer being appointed by the seller to save time. Don't fall for that trick. Yeah, always engage your own lawyer.
So in short, that means if you are going for like primary properties from developers, so if you are going to buy that properties and more or less you have done your due diligence and you are comfortable with that developer, right? So whoever lawyers they want you to engage, it just should expedite the matter lah. Then if you come to secondary market buying from a sub-sale, then don't share the lawyer, please, right? As a rule of thumb. Okay, good. And Jack is asking about Puchong. He said like, is Puchong a good choice for investment, because it has huge population except just the traffic issue, like with the new LRT line, wouldn't it be good for investment?
Well, the numbers still shows that a lot of migration of population moving into Puchong. Now, the olden days of Puchong and now Puchong is a little bit different. Now, Puchong, you have to be a little bit careful as far as pricing is concerned. Generally, if you're talking in terms of price per square feet in Puchong, if you're buying something that anything less than 550 or 600, I feel that for new properties, I think it's okay. But if you're paying anything beyond that, then I feel that it's a little bit on the high side. Why am I saying this? Because I'll give you a question. Which one would you like best? Bukit Jalil or Puchong? Which one sounds better? I mean, the general perception in the industry, in the market right now, if given a choice, they will stay in Bukit Jalil or Bandar Kinara as compared to Puchong. I'm not sure whether I am offending a lot of people by saying this, but generally through my market interaction, people will generally go for Bukit Jalil and Bandar Kinara as compared to Puchong, even though Puchong is bustling with a lot of activities. Reason being because generally Puchong is being perceived as old mining area, still being perceived till today. Number two, a lot of Puchong lands are basically leasehold. Number three, they perceive Puchong as a medium to medium low type of income households. Whereas compared to Bukit Jalil, you have a slightly upmarket Kinara, there's a lot of freehold land. Now, the price in Bandar Kinara and Bukit Jalil is hovering around 500 plus to 600 ringgit per square foot as well. So you ask me whether Puchong is a good place to stay, to invest. Yes, provided you are paying the right price. I do agree that Puchong is bustling with activities despite the horrendous traffic jams, but all this will be pretty much a thing of a past because the LRT extension line is already operational. For Puchong Station, I think it's expected to commence operation by first quarter or even maximum second quarter of next year. So all this will will address the issue of traffic jams, and Puchong is still a good bet. But depends. So very far deep into Puchong may not be that ideal as far as property investment is concerned. So yeah, I think Puchong is still a great place to stay, as long as you pay the right price.
Yeah, so it's price is what you pay, right? Value is what you get. So we want to pay for good value.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
YC want to know, will rejection of credit card application affect CRIS report and subsequently affects a housing loan application?
Now, when your credit card is being rejected, I am not sure what is the reason that your credit card is being rejected. There must be a reason why credit card is being rejected. Yeah, it could be you could have a lot of outstanding payments that you didn't make, or they found out that you have 5 cards and every card you're only paying a 5% minimum that's required by the law. If that is the reason for rejection, then it's true. Like I mentioned earlier in my slides, when you have high credit card outstanding balance and you only pay 5%, that is not something that the bank would want to look forward to in your loan application process. So I need to know what is the reason of rejections. But I believe that it is due to the minimum payment that you make for all the cards that you hold, or payments in the past. But it has got nothing to do with the number of cards that you have. Yeah. So number of cards has got nothing to do with your loan application approval status.
Okay, good. So basically, even though that means even your credit card is rejected, it might be related to your CRIS issue, right? But still, you can keep trying for the mortgage, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, it depends on the reason of rejection of your credit cards. Yeah. Now, if your credit card is being rejected, I mean, they're not going to put the credit cards being rejected in the system.
It's not shown there, right?
It's not shown that. It's not shown that. It is not shown that it is rejected. So, but again, I have to pose the question back to the listener. What is the reason of rejection? So you know best. And sometimes, unfortunately, some banks won't tell you, but you will know.
Okay. What's your view about the office segment? Like investment in the office segment. What do you think?
Now, as far as office is concerned, if you read from the statistics, there is actually a situation where an oversupply of office units coming onto the Klang Valley right now. Now, whether you believe these statistics or not, I'll leave it up to you. But generally, office do are basically struggling to find tenant. That one I must admit, though I don't have the actual statistics. But if you read the statistics from various reports, it actually gears towards a very low occupancy rate of a lot of offices. However, those grade A offices are still doing very well. It all depends on location at the end of the day. If you look at KL Central, if you look at Bangsa South, where all the prime offices are, they are actually basically enjoying above 90% occupancy rate. So you need to find out where are the offices located. And the rental non-prime areas, the rental are basically being pressured right now. So apart from the Golden Triangle, KL Central, Bangsa South, Damansara Uptown, these locations are doing reasonably well. So it all boils down where your office are located. But I do agree that there is an oversupply of office space coming into or already completed, which are struggling to find tenant.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's a very good overview about the situation right now. So if you go for the hotspot, then should be fine, right? But for the secondary
Yeah, but you're gonna pay a premium.
area, yeah, but you have to pay the premium, yes. And another question from Jack. This is about the mixed development. For example, let's say there are houses like 10 years ago already built, and it now has some new development, like official launching of new property, and it is goes like many times higher than the current market price of the old units. So is it like a good choice to actually get the secondary unit rather than the newly launched one, which is selling way more expensive?
At the end of the day, it depends whether you're buying for own occupation or you're buying for investment. Now, let's talk about buying for own occupation. Now, if you're buying for own stay, sometimes you don't mind paying a premium because you like a new building, therefore you pay the premium price. But for investment, you have to be very careful. As a benchmark, as a guide, I'll share with you from my banking experience. If the new project is 10 to 15% higher than the existing ones, then you should be very cautious. Yeah, I repeat, yeah. If the price that you're going to pay for a new project is, let's say, 15% higher than the existing building, and if it's for investment, you have to be a little bit careful because you may not get the rental that you want at the end of the day, even though it's a new building. But it all still boils down on the density of the old or existing apartments in that area. So if your area has got a lot of high rise and density is very high, and yet there is a new building coming up selling, say, 25% higher than old stock, then you should be careful, before you even buy the property. This is for investment purpose. But if it's for own occupation, no issue. Yeah, they might be you at the end of the day. So you're gonna stay for long term. That's fine.
Okay, good. Let's get to just the last few questions before we end. Sorry
I
that
think we get a lot of questions from this Jack.
we yeah, because he can hear all the way from the start. Okay.
Jack. I
Yeah,
hope I
let's. I'm so yeah. I'm sorry to drag you for another few minutes
No worries,
because
no worries.
I feel bad for those who couldn't hear us during the last 1 hour or so. So just want to do more for them.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Okay. Let's get to another question about GST financing. Can I finance GST?
No, you cannot. No, I wish, but no, there is no platform for that, and immediate near future, I don't foresee that coming. I don't expect that to be implemented anyway.
Okay. If my DSR fail, that means I'm like burst already, the DSR. What can I do?
If your DSR fail or you burst your DSR,
Yeah.
one of the strategies is that, again, go back to my slides. Whether you have, accumulated liquid assets that you can prove to the bank, 1 million and above. I know this amount may sound a little bit high, but for those of you who are, 40 years old and above, normally you will have a substantial amount in your EPF.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were looking at about maybe, half a
100,000,
million.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the balance 500,000 it could be in the form of your savings account balances, your unit trust that you've bought.
Stock
You know,
investment.
Yeah, you can accumulate that. Now, what are the other strategies if your debt service ratio, if it's burst, then you could possibly get another loan applicant, someone that is close to you, could be your wife, sister, brother, to come in, who hasn't got a very high loan exposure, to come in as a joint applicant, and that will help you as far as debt service ratio is concerned. So, but make sure the person that you're bringing don't have bad record in their previous payment history. You should be fine.
Okay, good. Let's get to the very last. This is Wong want to know. He said Robert T. Kiyosaki, he said predicted the market crash on next year, 2016. So if that's going to happen, like, should we have the money saved now and buy property after the crash at a discounted price, or what? What is the market timing like?
First of all, I'd like to clarify once and for all for all you listeners out there. In my 22 years of property investment journey, I don't listen to any forecast on, coming crisis or downturn and whatnot. I only believe in one thing, which my mentor has taught me years ago. As long as you can afford to pay the installment for the property that you just bought, buy. Yeah? Markets come and go. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Now, for you to listen to Robert Kiyosaki, who are thousands of miles away, to quote something like this, I don't think it's being fair, because, he doesn't have a crystal ball, right?
Yeah.
He has a few financial strategies that many have benefited from. However, when it comes to predictions of crises and downturn and whatnot, I only ask the listeners out there to ask yourself this question: come rain or shine, can you afford to pay the installment? If you can, if you're borrowing loans, then buy. If you cannot afford to pay the installment and you like to speculate on the property to make big money, then don't. Good times don't last long, neither is bad times. And who are we to predict all this? Yeah, as long as you don't go on a high buying spree, manage your risks, understand what you are capable of paying, you should be on good stead. So don't be too overly concerned about the market outlook, whether it's going to do well or not. I have banks, senior positions, earning big fat salary. The next thing, they are being offered voluntary separation scheme. So nobody knows what's going to happen. My advice is this: buy what you can afford to pay. Digest what you're capable of. Yeah. Don't go overboard. Don't over leverage yourself, because you must understand, when it comes to property investment, you must understand the concept of risk. If you don't understand what is risk, then you shouldn't be in the property game at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, nice, Adrian. Really, it's a lot of value packed in this 90 minutes, also like 100 minutes. Really appreciate your effort here, and I really enjoy it. I personally enjoy it, and I think a lot of people will do. And I'm gonna put up the replay, and it will be like up for at least a week for all those who really missed this session, and you can watch the replay.
Sure,
So
sure.
yeah, at the end, before we let you all go, just go to Facebook and like Skybridge International, and you can also go to Adrian's website at skybridgeinternational.asia, where you can subscribe to their mailing list, so that if there is any activity, any news coming up from Adrian, he can email you about that. So thank you very much for attending.
Thank you
Thanks,
for all you
Adrian.
listeners out there. If you see me on the street, if you know who I am, come and say hi. You've logged on to KC Lau session. Come and say hi to me. I would love to do a little bit more sharing with you on a personal basis. Do stay connected with us at Skybridge. I hope to be of value to you sometime in the future. Like I said, if you need to know more, please log on to Skybridge International and do chat with us if you have time. Okay? Maybe see you next time. Okay? Take care.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Bye bye.